What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. We are back. The gang is back together once again. There's been, look, the month of October sucked, right? A lot of hurricane issues, some health issues. God. Man, Dutch has been through the ringer, but he is back. He is ready to go. This is Smack Talk here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling Facebook page and WrestleBinge by Sportskeeda YouTube channel. I am Rick Ucchino. That is SP3 over there. And we are ready to dive into what was just a riveting 2 hours of pre-tape SmackDown tonight here for you, the Crown Jewel Go Home show. Look, there were a few things to get excited about on this show, namely the Bloodline back together again. It's amazing what can happen when people are invested in a storyline, and something as simple as three dudes holding a finger up in the air is all it takes to get the biggest pop of the entire night. And damn it, man, Jey Uso is over as hell right now. Even Roman Reigns looks surprised at how big of a pop he got tonight in the middle of the ring. So we'll talk about the Bloodline almost reuniting. Almost. We got the OG3, but we know eventually we got to get to the OG4, which is going to make what happens tomorrow at Crown Jewel very, very interesting. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
You can't forget the Wise Man.
Yeah, cannot forget the Wise. That's when the OG bloodline goes over, when they finally have the numbers advantage. So we'll talk about what tonight may have in store for tomorrow afternoon, special 1 p.m. start time for Crown Jewel tomorrow. 7-match card. 7-match card. Triple H finally breaking it. He finally broke his streak, and he's given us 7 matches. 10 women performing in Saudi Arabia tomorrow, by the way. Always makes me smile when
thank you, Saudi Prince.
Yeah, for allowing that.
Thank you, Saudi Prince. He threatened probably Triple H's kids or something like that.
All right. So before we dive into the show, unfortunately, about an hour before SmackDown started tonight, there was some unfortunate news that broke in the world of professional wrestling. 3 WWE superstars are set to hit free agency here soon. Both Indy Hartwell, who actually wrestled on this show. Again, it was a pre-tape show tonight. So her last match in WWE was filmed last week and aired tonight. By the time it aired, news had already broke that she is being released from WWE. She'll be a free agent within 90 days, as will Tegan Knox, who was also let go. If you're wondering where Tegan Knox has been, that's a great question. The last time she wrestled on TV was back in April. I think she did an overseas tour, but has not been on television since April. And before that, I don't think she wrestled since February. So they brought her back. She was one of the big, and when Triple H was bringing everybody back that had been released that didn't sign with AEW, she was one of the ones, and never really got off the ground. Indy Hartwell really never got off the ground since she was drafted either. The big name that was released today as far as tenure with the company is Baron Corbin, 12 years in with the company. I know Dutch is just stunned by the news today.
That's a long time to hit and miss with the guy, and he got 12 years out of it, so he filled in employment for 12 years, which I'm glad for him. I hate anybody to lose their job. But after a while, if it becomes boring for people to watch them, it's time to change. Change the play, get a different quarterback, run a different play. Just do something different. I don't think they did anything different with Baron Corbin because, when I would see him come into the ring, I'm ready to go get me a cup of coffee or get a Coke or something because I could miss that.
They did a lot with Baron Corbin over the years, SP3. He was Constable Corbin. He was King Corbin. He was Bum-Ass Corbin. They ran through the gimmicks
Happy
for
Corbin.
him. Happy Corbin. They ran through the gimmicks for him over the years.
Now he's out of a job, Corbin.
Before he went back down
I hate to say that, but it fit it. The comedy fit the time. Go ahead.
He went down to NXT and really kind of revigorated his run in NXT with Braun Breaker, really kind of revitalized him. And you saw him, he was getting in better shape. I had a chance to talk to him in Cleveland at SummerSlam weekend. He says, look, I'm trying to get down to 250. He's trying to slim down, and he's throwing in a different move set. And honestly, as much as Dutch loves to just ride his ass. I mean, he was getting reactions. I'm not saying big over like Jey Uso reactions, but like when I was in Nashville, he had a dark match, had a SmackDown with Apollo Crews, and that was a very heavy pro Baron Corbin crowd. And it feels like coming out of NXT when they brought him back and they decided not to move forward with him and Braun Breaker as a team, they had a chance to do something with him. Ultimately, they just decided not to do anything with him, which is surprising given how successful he was down in NXT.
Yeah, I think that Baron Corbin was somebody that that the fans and probably myself had the kind of like an up and down relationship with. I loved him when he was originally introduced in NXT, the Lone Wolf, and he was doing like the quick squash matches. He was doing matches in Full Sail University where they would count how long the match was going. So they would count to like 20 and the match would be over. He would hit the end of days. End of days is one of the most protected, but also one of the most like unique finishers, especially at that time in the mid 2010s. So he really stood out from a look perspective. He's a tall guy. He had that kind of an intimidation factor to him when he first was introduced, and then turning heel, you got to see a little bit more of his personality down in NXT, then getting called up to the main roster, the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal back at WrestleMania 32, then his whole run up to winning the Money in the Bank contract, which I feel like that was kind of a mistake at that time. It was kind of too early in his run to give him that type of position, and you were kind of thrusting him to the top, where basically you're just throwing him into the deep end when he was swimming well in the end that he was basically supposed to be in, and then they threw him into the deep end and he had to keep swimming. He won the United States Championship after that. He got some, accolades under him. And then like when we get like a couple of years in, he started showing kind of his range because they got him into the Constable Corbin when he's wearing the suits, looking like a Fridays manager, then into that. Then they tried to blame all the bad product on him at the end of 2000. I never forgive that. I think that was even a bigger mistake than giving him the Money in the Bank. Like I said, I think throwing him into the deep end so early was their first mistake, but their biggest mistake was trying to blame the entire bad product of the late 2010s on this guy. This guy who's doing the best he can, who's a heel character, who's getting heat. He's a new star that you can position as your top heel, and you just blame the whole bad product on him. That was an even bigger mistake. But he just kept going along with things. He would have the King Corbin, and he tried to make that work. That didn't really work out well because they gave him stupid gimmicks and stupid feuds like the Roman Reigns dog food angle.
But took the words right out of my mouth.
He kept pushing along, and then bum ass Corbin. Oh my God, that was his best gimmick, and it only lasted like 2 months. Like that was it. That was another mistake that they did.
That's when I liked him the best.
I was going to say that. I was like, Dutch, who has been on this show for 3 years criticizing him. The one period that he did not criticize him was bum ass Corbin, and they only lasted it for 2 months.
Yeah, he had character and he had range.
Yes.
And he'd go out there and he'd lose. He'd just get upset. They could have taken that a lot farther. But how much of this can a lot of his downhill moves was there when Vince was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's got a lot to do with it too. So, I mean, we can't blame anybody else. We got to blame somebody. So blame Vince. He's getting blamed for everything else. So it shouldn't be a big surprise for him.
Why not? But he made Happy Corbin work, and he was getting heat with that whole gimmick, even with Madcap Moss. That went on a little too long. But like Rick said, he went down to NXT at a time where he was kind of exhausted all of his places that he could on the main roster, and he reinvented himself. They did the whole burning of the ships and kind of burning his old characters behind him and then starting anew. And then the Wolf Dogs, it came at a time where Braun Breaker, you could have realistically called up Braun Breaker a year before he got called up to the main roster, but they kept him on the NXT. He turns heel, and then a couple of months later, he starts this whole angle with Baron Corbin. They have a good matchup at one of the NXT Premium Live events, and then they pair them up together, and they had instant chemistry. It was very much like a longer version of like for older fans of the Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle tag team meets Cesaro and Sheamus in the bar. It was kind of like those two teams combined together because they just had this kind of like comedy jock personalities, and they meshed up so well to the point that, yeah, I was one of the people that was like, call them up together. Yeah, Braun Breaker is going to be a future star. Yeah, Braun Breaker's a future WWE champion. But you could have gotten so much more out of a call up to the main roster for Baron Corbin if he was still paired up with Braun Breaker. Sometimes Braun Breaker is going to be where he's going to be, and he's still like a year away from when you're going to put him in the main event scene. You could have had a more natural introduction for him being in the Wolf Dogs. You could have got a lot more out of Baron Corbin, and they would have been WWE Tag Team Champions, World Tag Team Champions at this point, instead of Baron Corbin today being told that they're not going to renew his contract. Because I do want to specify that the reports have said that basically WWE said we're not going to renew your contract, and his contract was expiring. So it's a little bit different from Tegan Nox and Indy Hartwell, who were.
And we don't know when his contract. We don't know when his contract is expiring. So thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to mention that.
So his contract is expiring. They just didn't release him on his own.
Yeah, at some point. Okay. Yeah, so they're just not going to renew his contract. So he's still under contract with I guess he could still technically appear, but he was told today they are not renewing his contract. Anybody see Bull Durham on this panel? Has anybody ever seen Bull Durham?
I've heard of it.
The movie?
Yeah, with Kevin Costner.
I saw some of it.
It feels like to me they did to Baron Corbin what they did to Kevin Costner in that movie. They brought Kevin Costner in. They brought him down to A-Ball to bring along Nuke Lelouch, the young guy. And then when it came time to call Tim Robbins up to the show, they didn't bring freaking Crash Davis with him, and they just released his ass. Like, I feel like that is exactly what they did with Baron Corbin here. Is they needed a kind of veteran to kind of help Braun get more rounded down in NXT, show him a few things, show him a little bit of that range, have some of that Baron Corbin range and rub it off on him. And then Braun Breaker was off and ready to go. He's won the Intercontinental Championship twice already. And then they bring Baron Corbin over to SmackDown, and they randomly pair him up with Apollo Crews. They give him a couple of matches, and then they take him off of TV, even though he was, like I said, starting to get some crowd reaction there. So,
well, he was even starting to get some traction with Apollo Crews a little bit.
Yeah,
which was more than I thought they would get.
He was doing something he's never really had a chance to do, which was wrestle babyface. Like, this man was getting yeeted out of the ring, out onto the ring apron, and people were eating it up. They loved it. He was getting to actually do a little bit more. And as SP3 mentioned, this is a guy who's got range. You can do a lot with him. Bare minimum, this is a guy who can go out there when he's a heel and do the chicken shit stuff and get his ass kicked by a legend and do it and do the job well. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could utilize a guy like Baron Corbin, who has the experience that he has, which makes this release a little bit confusing. Tegan Nox is confusing as well, seeing as you brought her back, didn't use her, and then you waited till now to let her go. Indy Hartwell, you just started doing something with her and Candice on SmackDown, and now she's gone, unfortunately.
They just brought her up, right?
Indy Hartwell. They brought her up in 2023, basically, because she won the NXT. Yeah, she won the NXT Women's Championship in Los Angeles. What was it? Yeah, that was it. That was the WrestleMania in Los Angeles. That was standing delivered 2023. She won it,
and then she hurt her foot. She was in a walking boot, and then she got called up after she won it, and then she relinquished it, and then it's been a whole lot of nothing. So, like, here's how little she's done. I forgot that happened last year. I thought she got called up this year, but it was Lyra who was the champ who got called up this year. So, yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, like, if WWE doesn't have plans for these people, if they're not going to use these people, Dutch, I mean, you can either keep them parked on the bench and keep paying them, or you can open up some roster spots, because you look at especially the women's roster that they have down in NXT, sooner or later, you're going to start calling some of these people up. I think Lash Legend, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, may be earning herself a call up onto the main roster and earn a roster spot there. So, I mean, you're going to have somebody like Tegan Knox and Indy Hartwell who are going to be able to go out and get dates now and go wrestle a little bit more. AEW is out there. TNA is out there. There are a lot of options for the people who have been let go. Baron Corbin, honestly, he's got a career on Food Network waiting for him, like legitimately. So
he does.
He will be just fine. But I mean, do you feel like that might be more of what is driving force behind some of these releases, is the fact that they're just kind of trying to open up some space here, Dutch, for maybe some of the people they have down in NXT?
Well, didn't they do WWE ID with all these other little affiliate companies they have working with them?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work exactly, but yeah,
I don't either. But I think that maybe some of these guys might find their way into that network and move them around, still keep them working, and let those guys get to know, say, like Baron Corbin or some of these people that would go in for a month, 2 months, and then then maybe move them to another little indie ID territory or company and keep them moving around. You could probably do, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 guys that way, because they got room with them, and these guys need to learn from the pros and not necessarily just the trainers, because the trainers don't know how they do things in WWE. And I'm sure that Cody does, and, Booker T does, and Seth does, but not all of them know that. So I think that's something we might need to watch.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how because they'll have like WWE approved training schools, and it makes sense that Cody's Academy and Booker T's Academy, and I forget who the other one is, Seth Rollins Academy, and obviously those are easily going to get a WWE brand, but also there's going to be like WWE like sponsored prospects. That's the interesting part of this to me, is them choosing like which young talent like they want to kind of invest in and help with, financial assistance, kind of like an NIL deal on the indie scene, right? Because Dutch, as you know, being a young wrestler, financial backing is everything. I mean, these guys drive halfway across the country to wrestle 2 matches for a hot dog sometimes. So it's like you're just basically hoping you can get in the ring, and that's the exchange for your travel.
How is that going to work?
That's my question. Because what is WWE getting in return? That's like my big question. If you're putting financing into somebody to help, their training along and help them on the independent circuit and maybe get bookings and things like that, is there going to be some kind of exclusivity involved with there? Because what happens if AEW comes knocking and wants to sign said person, or TNA wants to sign said person? Is WWE just going to be like, okay, well, there you go? Or is there going to be some quid to go with that pro quo? You know what I'm saying?
They were cover their liability in that case. I don't think TNA could just go in and sign a guy, or AEW can go in and sign a guy. But they may go the NASCAR route. When they go to the ring, they got all their sponsorships on. And the sponsors, that's a lot of screen time for them, and the announcers talk about it. So that may be part of the deal too. I think it's a great idea, really. I really do. I think WWE has been behind the times in doing something like that, but now they're bringing it along, and I like that idea.
It's going to be, I need to learn more about it. I like the concept of it, SP3, but there's some red tape I need to see what it is. I think a lot of people are going to be concerned that this is going to be another situation of back in the day where they're trying to monopolize the independent circuit. I think a lot of people are looking at it that way as well.
Back in the day, no, they literally just did this to the UK, like in
back in the day.
it was just a couple of years ago, guys. The UK independent scene in the late 2010s was thriving, and there was a bunch of promotions that were more popular than they ever been before, like Progress, like WXW, and WWE went in there because World of Sport was coming back. They said, "Oh, we're going to create NXT UK, and we're going to affiliate ourselves with Progress and WXW," and they totally wiped out the UK independent scene, where to the point that the only one of the major UK independent promotions that didn't align with WWE at the time that they wanted to create NXT UK, Rev Pro, is the only one that's thriving now in the UK because they chose not to team up with WWE. So I'm very much on the fence with all of this. I'm probably more negative than the two of y'all, but I'm pretty much on the fence with this. I don't think this is a great idea. I don't think this is the worst idea, but I do know that there is a downside, and there is a 50-year history of WWE working with other promotions, and it only benefits WWE at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
It never benefits these performers. It never benefits the other company. It always benefits WWE, which is the right way to do business, but it's not always the right thing for the independency.
For the business, correct. The entire business. It's not always the best
Yes.
thing. For those guys who are asking in the chat, I'm not going to speculate on who could be next. As far as we know, these are the only releases, but I mean, some people are on TV right now, some people aren't. So might clue you in on what happens, because look, there's a lot of talent down in NXT, and there's only so much TV time, especially now with Monday Night Raw only being 2 hours. All right, so let's dive into this show tonight. Again, it was a pre-taped episode. Not a very newsworthy show, but it does open up with Nia Jax and Liv Morgan. They're talking a little trash with one another. But honestly, this was Tiffany's time to shine. I thought she stole center stage tonight. She comes out there and starts sowing some seeds of doubt, saying she could cash in on Nia or she could cash in on Liv, because both of them are pissing her off. And that got a nice little ooh from the crowd. And then she asks Liv if Dirty Dom comes with that Women's World Championship, which I love Dominic's reaction to this.
That surprised everybody. Does he come along with it? And you could just feel the crowd. Ooh, they came up. Whoever came up with that was really, that got a reaction. Hell, I liked it.
And every single guy in the entire world is just going, really? Really? This guy? All right, fine, whatever. But Dom's facial expressions really sell it. This guy is just, he is one with his character right now. He is owning every bit of who he is in the ring right now. It's amazing to see where he's come in such a short amount of time. It was that line that she said to Liv that kind of set her off, which is the whole reason why she said it, I think, anyway. They end up, brawling a little bit, and that opens up for a match. Didn't last very long after the commercial break. Liv ends up getting a pretty quick win after Nia tried to help Tiffany out. It backfired. She got rolled up. And then post-match, Nia just beat the holy piss out of everybody with the briefcase. And that was pretty much our opening segment there. SP3, what'd you think about it?
This was fine. I think I agree with you that Tiffany Stratton was the best part of the promo segment. Although the part about Nia Jax pissing her off and she might cash in on her came out of nowhere. I literally thought, I was like, did I miss a couple of weeks? I know we missed a couple of weeks of this review, but have I not been watching? When did Tiffany Stratton become brave? And then they retconned it with the backstage segment later on in the night. So then I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine now. I don't think like I missed a week.
Yeah, Tiffany told Nia backstage that it was all a ruse. She just wanted Liv to think that there was another option, and it's all part of her plan.
But at least they covered that.
Yeah.
I was the same. I was like,
I'm just kidding. I just said that. Which is what I was thinking too. I know I missed a couple of weeks, most of the month, but when did she grow a set of balls to be able to say that?
Thank you. That's what I was like. I was like, wait, when did this happen? You've been scared of her. She was bullying you like for the last 2-3 months.
And then Nia turned around and tried to help her anyway, which I could then say it's just Nia trying to get back on her good side, right? And make sure there isn't any kind of cash in attempt. But brings me to the question, do we think we see a cash-in attempt tomorrow on Crown Jewel with Tiffany Stratton there, Dutch?
I think we see something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think we see something.
Yeah, this match has shenanigans written all over it, SP3. I think there will be an attempt. I don't think there will be an official attempt. I think ultimately Tiffany is going to cash in on Nia, but right now I have that pegged at Survivor Series, where I think Nia is going to be defending against Naomi. That's where I think we see the official cash in. That's just where I see things going right now.
Well, I don't know. I think that I don't think we get Tiffany at all at Crown Jewel, because I know they did the kickoff show today and Tiffany was conspicuous by her absence in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know if she made the trip. We'll see tomorrow, but I think that if you want to have Liv Morgan win this, it's probably better if Liv has the numbers advantage with Dom and Raquel in her corner to help her get the win, because I think that Liv will win this. Like my original predictions for these Crown Jewel Championship matches probably changed after watching this episode.
Yeah, I did a prediction show earlier this week for Sports Illustrated, and I'm feeling very different about a few of my picks after watching this episode tonight, which is the dangers of doing a prediction show earlier on in the week. And one of those matches that I'm feeling different about now is Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, frankly. We did get a Kevin Owens video. Again, I thought this was another great performance from Kevin Owens, Dutch, as he just feels like really like upset and somber, like not even mad. Like genuinely feels sad for what he feels like he has to do. He says he doesn't want to fight Randy Orton. He has looked up to Orton for many, many years. Again, doesn't want to do it, but says at Crown Jewel he is going to hurt Randy Orton, and it's Orton's fault that he has to do it. And then the last line was just the icing on top of the cake, where he just said, "I'll see you Saturday, buddy." Like just the way he delivered the word buddy, I'm just like, oh, that was
good interview, because you believe him. He wasn't screaming, he wasn't over emotional, he wasn't over action, activated. He just said, "I'll just see you Saturday," and talked in a low tone. And I thought it was an effective interview. I believed him.
SP3, prior to tonight, I just felt like Kevin Owens really was going to do what he claimed he was going to do. And I was expecting pop-up powerbomb onto the ring apron, go after Orton's bad back, do the full-on heel turn, Kevin Owens, vicious side that we didn't see at Bash at Berlin. He didn't want to pull that trigger. He didn't want to go to that dark place. I was expecting Kevin Owens to go to that dark place. But now I feel like there's more levels to this, because when we saw that backstage leaked footage of KO blindsiding Randy Orton, we saw them have a heated discussion. We don't know what that discussion was about. We know Randy Orton told Nick Aldis that he was going to go take care of the situation and he was going to calm Kevin Owens down. But did he? Did he really? Or did he poke the bear? Did he antagonize that man? Did he say something? Did he reveal something that caused Kevin Owens to attack him backstage that we don't yet know about? I am questioning things now. The way Kevin Owens is delivering this, and the way later on when he attacked Randy Orton, but didn't show any inkling of going after Cody Rhodes when he had a clear shot to do so, I'm questioning things. I'm definitely questioning things, and I'm questioning how this match is going to get booked tomorrow.
I think that Kevin Owens hits the pop-up powerbomb on the apron for sure tomorrow on Randy Orton. And I think that they could get this either one or two ways. You either have Orton do that, KO do that and get the win, or you have KO do that and get himself disqualified. I think that this is the one matchup on the card where I think it would be fine if you did a DQ finish, because it protects Orton. It puts over that Kevin Owens is off his rocker and has really become like deranged and exacerbated with the whole situation with Cody, with Orton, and he feels betrayed by the both of them.
And WWE for keeping him quiet. Like, we still have not really been able to hear his side of the story because WWE told him to stay away for what effectively was a misdemeanor offense. I mean, for the love of God, Rhea Ripley had her orbital bone broken in the NXT parking lot by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez just this Tuesday. And they're going to Saudi Arabia. They're going to Saudi Arabia. The double standard, Dutch, those bastards.
Go figure. Go figure. But I tell you what, if you're thinking like that, Rick, how many other people are thinking that way too? And that's the beauty of wrestling. You don't really know what's going to happen. And it's like me making up something or Sid saying, I think this is going to happen. At least they're thinking. If they're not thinking, you're dead in the water. And that's what happened. You know, you talking about Baron Corbin a little earlier. You know, there's no longer, they could have done a lot more with him, but after 12 years, and now I guess the people are tired of thinking about him. And unless they pull the switch on him, he's not going to pull it on himself. So, but that's the nature of the business, and that's how it runs. I enjoyed the show tonight, except the girls' match. I thought that thing would never end, but you'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah, the other thing that Randy keeps doing that just keeps stoking my interest is he just can't keep his eyes off that WWE championship. We saw him bastard. We saw him back.
Yep, he's looking at it.
Cody's tying his shoes. Cody's tying his shoes, and Randy's just like, oh, I'm sure you'll think of something to do after I dispatch Kevin Owens this weekend. You'll figure something out, buddy. That bastard. He wants 15. You can't tell me no different. We had the Street Profits against Pretty Deadly tonight. Honestly, I thought the best part of this match was Elton and Kit giving their playbills and CDs to Pretty Deadly the musical to Lin-Manuel Miranda. I thought that was a great way to incorporate him in the front row. For those of you who have no idea who he is, he wrote the musical Hamilton. You may have heard of that. The guy's won 3 Tony Awards. So yeah, big wrestling fan too.
Who is this guy?
Lin-Manuel Miranda. That was the guy
Who was the guy standing out of the ring at one time? And I looked at him. Now, I've been gone a while. They may have put some more. Who was the blonde-headed guy standing out of the ring when the Street Profits got in? Like kind of dressed up a little bit, but he didn't look like a wrestler. He was just standing there. Am I seeing things now?
Yes. I don't know. The only other person who was out there for that match was B-Fab. And she had the spot of the night when she power slammed one of the boys down and allowed the massive blockbuster for the Street Profits to pick up the win. SP3, what'd you think of this one?
This was fine. I've seen Street Profits and Pretty Deadly. Yeah, I've seen Street Profits and Pretty Deadly face each other before. It feels like they're going back to something that they did like 5 months ago. So it's just like, you guys can't do anything new. But I do like the fact that Montez Ford has done a lot of interviews this week where he sounds legitimately frustrated. So once you start speaking up for yourself and showing that you're frustrated, maybe something's on the back end. When Triple H hears those interviews, maybe he does something, either puts you on your own or actually push the Street Profits to where they need to be.
And I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that Tez's contract is coming up here soon, and Dawkins for that matter. They signed 5-year extensions back in 2019 with a lot of other talent, so the clock is a ticking. It's literally shit or get off the pot time with Montez.
That's right. What they've done with the Street Profits is just drag ass along. They haven't progressed. They haven't gone back. But they're in that holding pattern, and finally the people get to the point like, who gives a crap? There's nothing we see and we want them to do unless they tell us, and they haven't told anything that the people really look forward to. And I don't, I'm not saying it can't be done, but sometimes that's as bad as getting beat, not doing anything with it. You can actually win every match and still lose your heat, lose your connection to the fans. People go, we don't give a crap. So when you see them get up going to the concession stand, you've lost it.
Yeah, SP3, I feel like it's been 4 years. We have been talking about Montez Ford as a future breakout single star in WWE. And I think 2 or 3 years ago at Elimination Chamber, I was like, there's your moment. Capitalize on it. He was the star of the match. Didn't even get mentioned by Triple H. He was the star of the match, and he was the name that Triple H forgot to mention when he was putting everybody over in the post scrum. I'm just like, what are we doing? And then they did nothing with him. They did nothing with him. You could do
That's why he didn't mention them, because Triple H doesn't see color.
I set you up for that one. I knew you were going to go.
Yep.
You
did.
But yeah, I'll say this. He still has all the talent in the world. He's got everything you want in a top single star. You could heal him up. You could be a baby face. You could flip both him and Bianca heel and have them be the ultimate power couple on Friday Night SmackDown if you really wanted to. Angelo Dawkins is nobody to sleep on either. He could be a great single star as a baby face. If you're not doing anything with him in the tag team division, why the hell? You don't even have to split them up. Like, just because they're partners don't mean you can't have them do single stuff. I remember when the New Age Outlaws were still together, and one of them was the European champion. The other one was the IC champion. Like, it's been done before. Damn.
And it could work with those two guys. So you only know if you give them a chance to do something. Then you say, well, and something clicks somewhere in the creative team or Triple H's brain, and let's do this and see where it leads them. You only know if you try it.
I just feel like they really haven't tried. I don't know why. They have been simmering on the back burner for far too long. We had Bayley and Naomi versus Candice and Indy Hartwell in what turned out to be her final match with WWE. At least we believe so, but her contract is going to expire in 90 days, and she'll become a free agent. Candice ends up hitting the moonsault on Bayley in this one, but she doesn't realize that Naomi is legal and literally runs right into the rear view. Naomi pins Candice to pick up the win. What did we think of the tag team match tonight, other than the fact that the crowd was asleep badly for this one? I don't know if they filmed this right after the Roman Reigns segment. I don't know if they filmed it last, but that crowd in Brooklyn was tired for this one, and I felt bad for these ladies. I really did.
Well, I thought it would never get over. I mean, sometimes they're just doing moves for the sake of doing moves, just filling in idle time. The match never really made it. It made sense, but it didn't make sense. Maybe because I didn't give a shit one way or the other. Who won? Who won the match? So you're sitting there watching. You said, okay, and when people start looking at their watch, get this over with. I think that was the reaction they got from the people. That is, as we were talking about the street profits, not doing anything with them. This actually hurts the girls more than it helps them, because you can only have one winner in there. So, and who stood out in that was what's that new girl's name that I haven't seen yet? What's her name? Lash.
No, that was the next match. She wasn't in this one.
How big is that girl? She's a pretty good size lady.
Gotta be like 6 feet. She used to be a basketball player.
Yeah, but she looks great.
Yeah.
She really does.
The tag team match, it was just sad to watch. And yes, it was, I double checked. It was filmed after the Bloodline segment. Like the next thing in the recap.
The crowd was spent. They were tired. Yeah.
Because this was into what, like hour 3 or 4 of this taping last week. So yeah, the crowd was tired, but it just didn't make any sense putting that on before the Bloodline segment. That's why I was like, I don't like these pre-tape shows when they're not showing them in the order that you filmed them. You're showing them out of order, because I think they did the opening segment like the middle of the show. Then they had the Street Profits matchup was the first thing they did after last week's SmackDown. Like, it was just all over, and they shaped it in whatever way. And sometimes it works out and it seems great, but one thing is going to suffer due to that, and that was this tag team match. It was just kind of there, but the crowd could not care less.
Yeah, and look, I don't think the match was bad either. Like, it just, if the crowd is that flat, it makes it feel like it's a bad match, and it just takes.
It wasn't a bad match.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, they did their stuff good, but the people just didn't care.
It's like watching a movie with the sound down. Like if I mean that's basically what it was at the end of the day. There just wasn't any excitement to it.
Let me ask you something, guys. that announcer they had tonight, Michael Cole, don't they have another announcer there that they just hired and he does NFL stuff too, or college football or
Joe
something else?
Tessitore is on Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. Hey, Rhea Ripley is out with a broken orbital bone. You don't have a top baby face on Raw. Please just throw Bailey over there. Throw Bailey a bone. Like, y'all did enough to kind of bury her title reign, where every week I was on here and like, oh yeah, Bailey is the champion. So at least let her get the opportunity, give her the opportunity to fill in the void that is going to be left by Rhea Ripley on Monday Night Raw. Because Monday Night Raw has got 1,036 women on it, but none of them are over except for Io Sky. And you got Io Sky in the tag team division. So you're going to need a top babyface to fill the void of Rhea Ripley. Let that be Bailey.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Because she's not doing anything. She's not doing anything on SmackDown right
now. No. She's doing what Naomi was doing for her. She's now Naomi's number 2. Because Naomi's going to get the shot at Nia Jax, presumably. Hell, honestly, maybe the way you go is you have Tiffany cash in on Liv, and Tiffany completes her babyface turn and goes over to Monday Night Raw. Maybe that's the direction you go there. Or, as Ozzy brings up in the chat, maybe Charlotte comes back a little sooner rather than later if she's ready to go over on Monday Night Raw, which Charlotte has always been Liv's white whale, so that might be a nice direction, a nice pivot. Or you could back up a Brinks truck to Becky Lynch's house and see if you can talk her out of retirement. I mean, Liv keeps putting her mouth in her name, so who knows? We'll see. But you're right. They don't have anybody who's ready to fill that Rhea Ripley role yet, as far as like at least like connection with the audience.
When is Rhea coming back?
Don't know. She injured herself a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the October 20, whatever day that was. Hang on. It's a couple of weeks. Let me look at the calendar here. It was the October 21st episode. She headbutt Liv Morgan in the ring, and apparently that's when it happened. So I guess she got a little too close, and it sucks. It sucks. It really does. This is the second unfortunate injury for her so far this year, in a year that's had some really unfortunate injuries to some top stars, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. So it's been kind of a year, but hey, WWE's still been trucking right along.
This was a really bad week when it comes to injuries. Thoughts and prayers, shout out to Chris Bay, who suffered a serious neck injury this week. And, I want to say, it is great to see the wrestling world kind of unite around these performers when someone gets seriously hurt like that, because the outpouring of love that Chris Bay got from WWE wrestlers, AEW wrestlers, TNA, just the whole wrestling world like coming out for him. But like Chris Bay, I've interviewed him twice. He's one of the most like genuinely passionate and just kind individuals that I've talked to in the wrestling business, and he had such a bright future. So I'm hoping that he got the surgery, he's been in the hospital ever since then, but hopefully he can turn this around and recover and have the career that he's meant to have.
Yeah, thoughts absolutely with him. Wish him all the best. We also have Isom chiming in. Alexa Bliss, yes, could be an option, but I don't know when she's going to be ready to come back. Only she knows that.
Carmella, there's a bunch of women out there that we haven't seen in like years now.
I keep hoping for Carmella, but man, just following her on Instagram, it does not sound like her foot is getting. She's had some issues with her feet ever since giving birth, and it does not sound like that is getting better at all, unfortunately. Our Bloodline segment tonight, we had Jimmy and Roman come down to the ring together. We had Big Jim ask Roman to squash the beef with Jay. They all needed to be on the same page, or they were going to fall the new Bloodline at Crown Jewel. Before Roman can speak, we get Jay, who comes down to the ring. Massive pop to Jay. Like I said at the top of the show, even Roman seemed surprised by just how big of a reaction that he got in Brooklyn. No wonder that this crowd was absolutely exhausted for the Bayley Naomi tag match afterward. But Jay gets in the ring. says he only accepted this fight this weekend to get back at Solo for costing him the Intercontinental Championship. He says things are not fixed between the three of them, but he's there. He's here because that's what family does. He has answered the call. He is ready to at least talk things out with Roman, but says he remembers. He remembers the emotional, physical, mental damage that man did to him, and said the only way to move forward, SP3, the only way to move forward is to not for Roman Reigns to be the tribal chief, but for all three men to be equals.
Great line.
To which
that changed the whole thing when he said, I want to be an equal, not an attachment.
And then Roman only had one thing to say, SP3, and it's the only word that anybody wanted to hear in that one segment as he dropped a yeet on the crowd. And then
that's over.
Oh, fuck yeah, it is.
What exactly does that mean?
Whatever
you want it to be. Yeet.
Well, for the longest time, yeet is when you throw something or someone.
Yeah,
that's what it was. But for Jey Uso, it can mean a variety of different things.
Yeah, anything.
And this was the first time that Jey Uso's cadence, where he allows the fans to say yeet after every small sentence he says, actually worked. It actually worked, and it did not feel so contrived and so forced that it usually does. This is probably the best stretch of promo work that we've seen from Jey Uso since the original Bloodline angle and the stuff that he was doing last year in through from the beginning of the year through the summer. That was kind of the best stretch for him as a character and why he became the popular figure that he is today. But he had become basically a caricature of that guy who was one of the most multi-layered characters in WWE, became the yeet guy who just would say yeet all the time and never was angry and was always happy, and the fans can do this and I'll do this, and it became too contrived. But from the promo with Solo 2 weeks ago through the promo work that he did on Monday with him and Jimmy Uso, a fantastic promo exchange that they had to kick off Raw on Monday, and then his work here, this was just great stuff where Roman didn't have to say anything but eat. Jey did all the work. Jey carried this whole segment, and he did an excellent job here. So I got to give it up to Jey.
Did a great job, I thought.
Yeah.
See, because I missed a lot of this stuff, so I'm watching it really for the first time tonight. But he carried this whole segment. Roman, it surprised me. He didn't say any more than he said, but there was no need for him to say it. So that means he's helping these guys to get their rightful place. They already got it anyway, but now it was solidified tonight by Roman Reigns.
And look, this was the vision. This was the point. At least this is what we were told of why Cody lost at WrestleMania 39. Is because Roman wanted to use the next year to not only, build up to a bigger win for Cody at WrestleMania 40, which was almost derailed by The Rock coming into the fold, but it still happened at the end of the day. But he wanted to build up the family. And right now, there's no denying the family has been built up. They still got some work to do with Big Jim, who unfortunately I think is only in this match this weekend to eat the pinfall. I don't believe that the original Bloodline is winning. I think the Bloodline 2.0 is going to get a dominant victory with Big Jim taking the pinfall because they got to find a way to get they got to have a reason to get Sammy back into the mix. And the interesting thing, Dutch, you talk about creating options, right? And where things can go. Kevin Owens was really pissed off when Cody Rhodes tagged with Roman Reigns. How is Kevin Owens going to feel if his good buddy Sami Zayn goes back into the Bloodline and steps into War Games with everybody in a couple of weeks at Survivor Series? What's going to happen after that takes place?
Kevin Owens and who'd you just say? I went blank.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn. That's still got life in it. They could go back to that. They didn't wear it out. They cut it really a little bit short, but they can always go back to that. That's what bookers are always looking forward to when they just separate two guys. That means, and I've said this 1,000 times on this show, wrestling fans have long memories, and they don't forget. And they could go back there at any time, and it'd be easy because Sammy is so good on the horn anyway. He'll get out there and he'll start talking, and hey man, we got a part and this, that, and the other, and then have Kevin turn on him. Now he's almost red hot. The fans love Sami Zayn. They love him. You know, he may not be 260 pounds and cut up like Adonis, but they got a connection to him, and that's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I could put my fantasy booker hat on here, and I could honestly, SP3, I would love to see a scenario. I know it's not going to happen, but I would love to see a scenario where Kevin Owens gets so white hot in this role and this angle that he's on, the WWE conceivably could put the WWE championship on him. You could still do Cody and Rock without it. And then you have Kevin and Sammy for the WWE title at WrestleMania. I would love to see a world where that happens. It's not going to happen. We'll see how white hot Kevin could get, but still there is still a great story, even if it's not my pipe dream for the WWE championship. There's still a great story you can tell with with Kevin and Sammy after this, after Sammy gets back involved in the bloodline, because we know Kevin's never going to forgive the bloodline for what they've done to him over the last 4 years.
Yeah, Kevin Owens has a long memory. He has the memory of an elephant.
He has your
never
memory.
Forgets it. He never forgets anything. He's gonna remember that Roman Reigns is his lifelong arch nemesis, and anyone that aligns with him is now his enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my enemy. Does
Kevin have any friends right now, so to speak? He has none, right?
No,
so
he has no.
He's a lone horseman. So, and it's easy to do that. If he doesn't have any alliances over here, and he's to himself. So, and that's a good way to be. You know, now he can do anything.
We had
I think,
go ahead.
I think that what Cody needs to do is, like, he's got an interesting program right now with what's going on with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, where you can pretty much get like the next 4 months ahead of WrestleMania season between those three guys. You can go play it out where Cody beats Kevin Owens at Survivor Series or Saturday night's main event, and then immediately after that, Orton turns heel on him, and that's your big Royal Rumble match for Cody there. And then after that, what Cody needs to do is, regardless of what's going on with Kevin Owens and Randy, he needs to sit them down backstage and be like, guys, it's been nice, but I need to get back into the main event of WrestleMania, so I'm going to go back into this whole bloodline story because that's the only way. That's the only way Cody will be in the real main event of WrestleMania, which is the night 2 main event, is if he's in a match with The Rock or Roman Reigns or both. That's the only way. That's the only way, guys. I've heard people like, oh, maybe Kevin Owens can become the champion and then Cody can do something else. You're saying Cody can face The Rock without the title? No. Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. The Rock doesn't even want to deal with Cody Rhodes if he don't have that title. That's not that. Y'all don't know Dwayne. Y'all don't know Dwayne if y'all saying that. Dwayne is not going to deal with Cody unless Cody has that title. If Cody doesn't have that title, guess what? Dwayne's like, hey, Paul, I'm working with my cousin. I'm working with my cousin because that's the only match that he can work with without the WWE Championship that will still main event night 2 of WrestleMania. Because I'm sorry, Cody Rhodes, top babyface in the company. He is a top guy, of a legitimate draw, but he is 1B. He's not 1A. 1A is Roman Reigns, and that's the guy that The Rock will face if it's not for the title.
A lot of truth in that. A lot of truth in that.
I could argue it, but we've already been going for 53 minutes, so I'm not going to. We had Motor City Machine Guns backstage, approached by A-Town Down Under, so we're going to get them on the Grayson Waller effect next week. We had a fatal 4-way match.
I would tune in just to see that.
I'm sure you
because when you see I had them in TNA. I was with them in TNA. Great athletes, great workers. But Chris Sabin has no personality to speak of, really. And it's all to Alex Shelley. Now, Alex Shelley, if you just listen to him, he's funny as hell. And he has a connection with the people. I did a thing with him in TNA. I called him Paparazzi. where he just ran around with the camera and, and it was getting nowhere. But the thing about Alex, he hated it. He said, I'm not getting to wrestle. I'm trying to tell him, listen, we're trying to build this character, and then your wrestling fills in. Now, at least you got something to back it up. But every time I'd see him, he said, hey, we need to talk about this paparazzi gig. But he didn't like it, but he was getting over with it. He really was.
So was it your idea to pair him with Kevin Nash in the paparazzi, the American Idol thing that they were doing?
We did that because Kevin is such a bullshitter. And he can go in there and we didn't even go over any of this stuff. I said, Kevin, sit down. This is what I want you talking about. They pulled it out of thin air, and some of it is great. Some of it, I thought, was very, very good and didn't hurt anybody, and it helped Kevin because Kevin wasn't really working that much. And they said, what are we going to do with Kevin? I said, well, hell, let's put him in. He's a great talker. Let's put him in there and with these guys, because now they're appearing in the same segment as Kevin, which brings him up a little bit, elevates them. But if I'm listening to it, I could have stopped it at any time, but hell, it was so good, I just kept it going. Then we'd take it back and clip it out, and then that's what we had. I think it helped everybody involved. Some of Kevin's stuff was just off the top of his head, because I know Kevin. I used to ride up and down the road with him. He would just make up stories, and I would throw little barbs in there every now and then. And then he'd take that and he'd run with that. Making a trip with Kevin Nash is really enjoyable and he's funny as hell. And we would just ride up and down the road, serving no useful purpose, but just entertaining each other.
My favorite bit is the chart when he went over Dutch about him being the biggest draw ever.
Yeah.
He's like Diesel made this amount of money, and then there's Austin, Hogan. Oh, they made this, but Diesel made the most money ever. And then those angles is the real reason why, like you said, Ali Shelley's always been a great wrestler, but that got him to show his personality, and he broke out. And then most of all, what people tend to forget, the original Jay Lethal becoming Black Machismo was in those skits. It was Nash. It was Nash being like, "Oh, what's your talent?" And he's like, I can do an impersonation of Macho Man Randy Savage. It's like, all right, let's do it. It's like, oh my God, this is great.
So see, I think we learned about it. The creative learned about it at the same time the fans did. I didn't know he could do that. And then we'd see him act. We said, well, hell, I didn't know he could do this. And so I think it helped everybody in those segments. And you didn't have to beat anybody. So everybody really got to shine. And Kevin running his mouth, he would just come off with some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard, but it was so good. We just kept it.
Very nice. What did you think of the Machine Guns winning the tag team titles last week, Dutch, in their third match in the company? I was surprised, but I was very happy.
Well, that's the way they used to do it. If you're going to push a team, I don't know if they're going to push them. I hope they are, because they went over for the titles. That's the way you get a team over. Now I guess everybody else wrestles. I take these guys here. Now you already they're going to appear on what show next week?
Grayson Waller Effect. Grayson Waller. They wanted to go on Miz TV, but they're going to be on Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller
is I think more their style, because Grayson Waller is a big bullshitter too.
Oh yes,
and
he is.
People enjoy that. Now, if Alex goes out there and he's Alex, they don't try to, just write everything for him. Let him do something. What the hell happened here? Let him do some of the thing off the top of his head.
Why are you wearing pants?
I am wearing pants. What if I was? There we go. I don't know. Yeah. Excuse me. I dropped something. I can't find it. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree with you though. Waller's got his BS and BS. So yeah, well, I do think that has a chance to be really, really good next week. And I think A-Town Down Under is a good first rivalry for them to kind of break in with this tag team title run. All right, real quick, we got a few things to wrap up here. We had a fatal 4-way match: Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Lash Legend, and Piper Niven. Lash Legend had Bianca Belair beat in this match. She had her beat, and it took Chelsea Green pulling her out of the ring to keep her from winning that match. So I think that's a nice little feather in her cap. I think clearly WWE sees something in her, and then they've given her a lot of chance to shine in this cup of coffee that she's had with the main roster so far. Io Sky ends up getting the win, though. Bianca hits a KOD on Lash Legend. Sky hits the moonsault on Bianca, ends up stealing the pin on Lash Legend to win the match. The chaos that erupted at the end, sometimes these things can get overbooked, SP3. I liked how everybody kind of had a chance to shine. Jade Cargill coming in there and hitting the pump kick while still wearing the women's tag team title belt was impressive as hell. I thought this was a lot of fun, especially in the run up to the end.
Yeah, I would argue this was the best match on the show. This was a lot of fun. I thought Io Sky, man, she's like the best female wrestler
she is
in this whole company. Like, it's not even close. Like, her timing is always good. She does the high flying very well, but she's also technically efficient. Bianca Belair, always talented. She just has that it factor, that charisma to her where everything she does works. And Lash Legend, like Dutch said earlier, she's someone who, like, I would say 2 years ago was not a good wrestler. She had like a handful of matches, and she's improved so much.
Where did she come from? You said she's a basketball player?
Yeah, Texas
Yeah,
Tech.
she was a college basketball player. Then they got her on like one of those like deals, tryouts. She
NIL deals, maybe.
I don't know if it was an NIL deal. I think she was like more of like a tryout after like her college basketball career didn't work out for her. She could have gone. A lot of people said that she could have gone to the WNBA, but it just didn't work out for her. She comes in and they was like treating her with like the like talk shows and making her like a personality at first. And then she started wrestling, and it was not good. I'll be honest. It was not that good when she first came in the 2.0 era, but slowly but surely, she just kept getting the reps, would get better match after match. And I really felt like the end of last year was the first signs that she really had potential in the ring, like doing power moves, working her kind of styles, using her size and ability to, the highest form. And what we've seen now is that she's turned into a very polished like performer in the ring, and she can do the power moves. She can go hold to hold with someone like a Piper Niven who has that size, or Jade Cargill. She's the only person who can have like that big power versus power matchup against someone like Jade Cargill. So I really like Lash Legend.
By the way, she's 5'11", Dutch, if you were curious how tall she was.
If you put Lash Legend and the other big girl, who's
Piper.
the other big one there?
Piper.
I mean, they got some big girls there now. Big girls.
Remember when Nia Jax was just like on an island all on her own?
Yeah.
Like Nia Jax was like, it was Nia, and then it was a bunch of girls like Alexa Bliss. And Nia, and that's honestly where Nia earned her reputation, was because it's like she just could not control her size across like 5 years ago against the smaller competition. Now all of a sudden, they like.
Well, she's not as clumsy as she used to be. I think they really worked with that girl, but I'm glad she's a lot better. She's a great talker. When she says something, you listen to her, and she talks very well.
She's even better in person. Like, honestly, like I got to interview her for the first time this year. I forget which event it was, but I'm like, she's great. She's hilarious. Like she has such a great personality that I'm like, you could be a babyface. Like you have a great personality if they ever give her a chance to just let her kind of be herself. She's very, very likable in person. That everything that I heard about her and was said about her, that was surprising to me.
Did she ask about me and Sid?
No.
See how you are. He'll keep us off in a hole. You gotta watch Rick. He's like that. But
so how do we think this match goes down tomorrow? Do we think that Bianca and Jade retain the titles tomorrow? Because I feel like I'm kind of mad that this match got booked, because they were doing well with like setting up a lot of future options for Jade and Bianca, and they're burning them all on one match. So I don't know if that signifies that they're going to lose them on an international pay-per-view again when somebody else eats a pin and move on, or if they're just going to retain, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. How do you guys think? Is there a chance Jade and Bianca lose these titles tomorrow?
I think I think if we put percentages on it, I'll say 60% they lose. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So new champs tomorrow. Ahead of this episode tonight, SP3, I made a bold prediction for SI. I said Dakota Kai would return on the show this weekend and help Io Sky win the match. Now that Io won tonight, I don't know.
I think Jade and Bianca retain, and I think that I won't get my wish of Bailey going to Monday Night Raw to fill that void, and they'll probably run Bailey and Naomi versus Jade and Bianca before they start teasing this Bianca Jade split.
Okay. We'll see how things go. We already kind of touched on the main event here a little bit tonight. Again, we saw Randy Orton backstage. Can't keep his eyes off the WWE Championship. Says there's not going to be much left of Kevin Owens for Cody Rhodes after Crown Jewel. We get a Solo Sikoa segment. One of his pre-produced segments says he's not the bad guy in this situation, but he is the tribal chief, and at Crown Jewel, everybody will acknowledge him. And that gets us to our main event, which was Legacy versus Imperium. Cody Rhodes gets the win on Ludwig Kaiser after hitting the crossroads. Orton clearing the path.
Well, that was unexpected. I didn't expect that. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, you can always tell who's eating the pin in these matches. Let's be honest, but doesn't mean Ludwig.
You can tell by looking at him when they introduce him. He goes like, whatever.
Hey, he's great though. I love Ludwig a lot, but and when he gets a chance to shine, I feel like as long as they don't park him for 4 years like they did Montez Ford, I feel like he's got a bright future ahead for sure. But go ahead.
How tall is he? He's not that far down from Gunther.
No, I think he's like 6'3", 6'5", somewhere in that ballpark.
Imperium, I mean,
got to be like 6'2", right?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Hang on, I'm Googling.
What happened to their partner? He get hurt?
They separated.
No, they kicked him to the road. They kicked him off.
Kicked him to the curb.
He is 6'3".
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they separated him so they kicked his ass on Raw, and then they moved him over to SmackDown. He's Giovanni Vinci, and then he shows up and he loses 2 quick matches to Apollo Crews, and now he was sitting in catering tonight while Imperium was wrestling in the main event. It's a tough gig.
That's a
It's a cruel business sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's a cruel.
And we don't. We used to say he pissed Vince off. I don't know who he pissed off here, but he hadn't. But basically, if I saw him, he would take a lot of work to get him over.
Who?
Because the other kid.
Giovanni?
Giovanni. It'd take a lot of work to get him over.
Well, one thing was for sure, you're not going to get off to a great start when he loses in 3 seconds in his debut match. So,
or sitting in catering.
That's
a damn sure way to get you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last time we saw him was after he kicked Apollo's ass, and then Apollo said, "We're not done here." I don't think we've seen either one of them since then.
Nope.
But maybe they were done there. So.
I don't know. Maybe they were on main event. I don't know. I don't watch main event.
I don't know who watches main event, but
the live crowd when they tape it. That's
yeah, I can say that.
Yeah,
but do they remember it? Is the key. I don't think they remember it. But
so main event is just an offshoot show. What is that?
Yeah,
it's a Peacock.
It's on the cock.
Triple H was up to his old games tonight. We got the lower third. Then we get the lower third graphic. We think the show's over, and then Kevin Owens hits the ring as Legacy is celebrating. And again, man, he hits Randy Orton with the chair. Cody Rhodes was on the top rope. He turns around, he hops down, and Kevin does not even show any kind of inclination that he is ready to swing that chair at Cody Rhodes. You would think if he was still mad at Cody Rhodes for what happened a few weeks ago, Dutch, he would have been just as eager to swing that chair tonight. He wasn't, but it did open the door for Gunther to slap in
but what's that leave
hold.
you? What's that leave you thinking? He's going to throw it at some time.
He's not the one. He's not the one that attacked the other person. Kevin Owens already got his lick back. He already attacked Cody outside of his bus. His wife and kids was on that bus, and he still whooped his ass. Like, what does Kevin Owens? Kevin Owens don't need to swing the chair. He came after Randy Orton to soften him up for tomorrow. He don't need to swing the chair at Cody.
Yeah, Rick, pay attention to the shows.
He just need to distract them so Gunther can get to him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
See, I missed the shows. You haven't. You don't. I don't know what he's talking about. You apparently should.
I have a hunch. There's more to this. I have a hunch. I'm going off of subtleties here. I'm going off of what Kevin Owens said earlier. I think that Randy Orton provoked that attack. That is my theory now. I think Randy Orton is playing a game. He is moving pawns across the chessboard, waiting for the ultimate move to strike at the king, which is Cody Rhodes, and make his move for the WWE Championship. I think this whole game that he's been playing, manipulating Kevin Owens into turning on Cody and attacking him to really kind of sell it in, I feel like this is a part of a much bigger story. I feel like it.
Oh, I think it is. I can't figure it out yet.
Randy's behind all this bullshit. I'm calling it. Calling it.
Okay.
Feeling it.
We shall see.
SP3, what you got going on in True Heel Heat this weekend? Are you doing it with a 1 p.m. start time for Crown Jewel?
No, luckily for me, I'm not going to have a busy morning tomorrow, but I will be going live after Crown Jewel around like 5:30 p.m. Eastern for our Crown Jewel review. So we'll be reviewing the show after it goes off the air. And then on Sunday, we got the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, 11:05 a.m. Eastern time, talking about this week in wrestling, including Crown Jewel, NXT Halloween Havoc, TNA Bound for Glory, and we'll be talking about the WWE releases, as well as Bobby Lashley's debut in AEW. We'll be talking about that as well.
Dutch, welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
What's going on?
I was gone almost the whole month. I really was. I've been in the hospital more times than hell. I hate that place. But if anybody wants to get a hold of me, Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com, and I'll be putting out a news release, catching the people up on where I've been. And basically, that's what I got going.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. We'll be back next Friday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.